Salam and peace. Welcome to Dawa Dude. Please subscribe, share, like, and leave a comment. Today, I'd like to respond to this recent claim from Bart Ehrman that Jesus was absolutely crucified. He was giving an interview to apostate prophet, and let me play that.
I know in Islam the teaching is that he was not actually crucified. I think on a historical basis, Jesus was absolutely crucified. I think that there's as a historian, there's almost no doubt about that.
So you just listen to him, and he says that Jesus was absolutely crucified. As an historian, how could he make such a claim? Then he himself criticized the Bible, the contradiction in the Bible. He challenged all the Christianity on these issues. And now he says something is strange. So it doesn't make any sense, actually, the way he makes his claim. In order to use the word absolute, that means you have to be 100% sure that Jesus was that person. He was crucified. They confirm his death, actually, and then they buried him, and then they have a record outside the Bible, not in the Bible, outside the Bible. Within the Bible, there is so much contradictions how Bart can make such a claim. So I'm kind of surprised, actually, and looks like I thought he was a very credible person, his research and his work. With this statement, looks like he is no longer a credible person, because if you want to make a statement, he can say, based on my research, most likely that Jesus was crucified. That's acceptable statement, but he can't say absolutely crucified. I think no historian, many Christian scholar actually, they study the Bible and they left the Christianity. They never made this. In fact, majority of them believe that Jesus was even a myth, actually. It's impossible to prove that Jesus even existed historically. There are scholars in Christianity who believe that, because the reason is there is not a credible information available. Now, as a Muslim, we believe that the Prophet Muhammad was a true prophet, because he was a real man. He was a man in history existed. He was born in Mecca. His house is over there. He died over there. He spent 63 years of his life, actually, and it's well documented in every single aspect from his childhood to his death. His grave is over there. So he's so much. There is nothing can be. No historian can ever deny that the Prophet never existed. So, and he received the book called the Quran Revelation. So today over 10 million Muslim has memorized word for word. Nothing have ever changed from since the time of the Prophet and today. The content of the Quran is 6,236 verses, 114 chapters. Every Muslim around the world, they know this information. So this is not same as what we have in the previous scripture. We do not know those books are credible or not so anymore, because there are so much assumptions there. And Bart, you yourself, I'm addressing to you, Bart, you yourself mentioned these contradictions and discrepancies in the Bible. Play the video segment of previous work of Bart Ehrman, and the people who is watching this video, and they can figure out themselves that how credible this person is, and how this claim is, And in that video segment, he said the historian will never take those positions or such an account as a credible. So how he takes this account a credible and makes such a statement. So let me
simply read Mark's account of Jesus' death and then read John's account of Jesus' death and make a list of everything that happens in both and compare your lists. You will find that there are stunning differences. In fact, there are discrepancies. Let me give you just a list of very quick examples. What day did Jesus die on? That's a simple question. And luckily, we're told in both Mark and John. In Mark's gospel, we're told that Jesus died the day after the Passover meal was eaten in Jerusalem. John tells us explicitly, chapter 19, verse 14, that Jesus died the day before the Passover meal was eaten, on the day of preparation for the Passover. That's different. He couldn't die both days. What about the time? According to Mark, he died at 9 in the morning. According to John, he wasn't condemned to death until afternoon. John 19:14. These are accounts that differ from one another. Did Jesus carry his cross the entire way to Golgotha, or did Simon of Cyrene carry it? It depends which gospel you read. Did both robbers mock Jesus, or did only one of them mock him and the other come to his defense? It depends which gospel you read. Did the curtain in the temple rip in half before Jesus died, or was it after he died? It depends which gospel you read. I can give you the references for all of these if you need me to, or you can look them up yourself. I'm not making these up. Those are just differences about Jesus' death. What about differences in the accounts of his resurrection? Well, who went to the tomb on the third day? Did Mary Magdalene go alone, or did Mary go with other women? Depends which gospel you read. If with other women, how many of them were there? What were their names? And which ones were they? It depends which gospels you read. Was the stone rolled away before the women got to the tomb or not? What did they see in the tomb? Did they see a man? Did they see two men? Or did they see an angel? Depends which gospel you read. What were they told to tell the disciples? Were the disciples supposed to stay in Jerusalem to see Jesus, or were they supposed to go to Galilee? Depends which gospel you read. Did the women tell anybody, or were they silent about it? Depends which gospel you read. Did the disciples ever leave Jerusalem? Or did they never leave, or did they leave and go to Galilee? Depends which gospel you read. My conclusion, these are not reliable historical accounts. There are too many discrepancies. The accounts are based on oral traditions that have been in circulation for decades. Year after year, Christians tried to convert others by telling them stories to convince them that Jesus was raised from the dead, and they changed their stories while trying to convince people. These authors were not eyewitnesses. They're Greek-speaking Christians living many years after the fact. They're telling stories that Christians have been telling all these years. There was nobody there taking notes. Some of the stories were invented. Many were changed. For this reason, these accounts are not as useful as historians would like as historical sources.